Anyway, you're welcome.
Thank you.
So, I guess you read the story we're discussing today. You know, me and you, the anytime we sit on radio, it's freestyle. Freestyle.
I read it. And the place that I got fascinated was, okay, we can see that we are made for each other.
How do you even know that you're made for each other?
You see, sometimes some of these things, it's normal. When you are in love, you have wild expectations, wild dreams, and wild feelings. So you think that, you know, but clearly it shows that even though they may be compatible, there are differences.
Yeah.
Because we come from different backgrounds, even though they all have Christian orientation and coming from a proper home and all these things. But your family lineage, mine, they are two different, you know. And because of that, there will be differences. That is why even, you know, Tom Printing, you know, everybody has a different DNA, the same thing. So it's good that the differences are coming out now, and it's good that they started discussing the future, including how to train their kids. You know, there are so many marriages that it starts with a bliss. Okay, I love you. Then, you know,
the honeymoon period,
a baby comes in, and it changes the whole narrative, and they don't know how to go around it because they didn't plan, they didn't discuss. Okay, if we give birth, if it is a boy, what will be the name? If it is a girl, what will be the name? If how are we planning? Are we building an education fund for the child, for the kids, for, you know, all these things? They don't plan about it, but you could see that clearly
it's important.
These people mean business.
Yeah.
So they want to have a clear plan.
That's right.
So that they can have a blueprint down. When they get there, there is a plan already. They will not be, you know, pulled by surprises. So it's good. Now the problem is, how do we train our kids?
Now, before we even get into how we train our kid, let's look at, I mean, you have been married before. So let's look at it in a marriage where kids exist. I mean, can you cheat? Yeah, I can't go for a cat. You can't say a bar. If you like in a household, who's response? I know, yeah, you'd say that it rests on both parents, but obviously, one of the parents would be at an advantage than the other. But let's look at it holistically. When it comes to raising kids, who really does the mantle rest upon?
Okay, so, you know, before the man will know, or the kid will know the man, or the father, the kid knows the mother.
Okay.
Because, you know, she gave birth to the kid for 9 months. So there is that bond, there is that connection. When the kid comes out for, let's say, 2 years, the mother needs to breastfeed him or her. So that bond is there. So as a father, you have to work your way out into that relationship.
Right.
Between the kid and the mother, they know themselves. So you as a father needs to work your way into that relationship, and your mother and the mother too has to help you, so that the kid will also know that you are the father.
Right.
It will take the mother to introduce the kid to you.
To you, right.
You get it right. So when it comes to raising of kids, yeah, the mother will see to the day-to-day, the micromanagement of the kids' needs and activities, and the father will look at the external. You know, okay, I need to provide for this, I need to provide for that, I need to do this. When it comes to straightening the child when they go wrong, that is where some of us, we have a problem. When the kid does something, the mother will tell him or her, you wait, if your father comes, I'll let him punish you. So the father is, you know, seen as
a disciplinarian, or like somebody who brings me pain, or
and it creates the impression as though
I should fear
he
him.
doesn't like me,
Right.
And you know, so there are so many people. There are some people, I wouldn't not use so many because I've not done a research, but at least from where I come from, I know there are some people, when they see their father coming, they begin to run. They are afraid of them because they want the man to have that authority, so that when you speak, the child will obey.
right.
So yes, it's good to project the man as a symbol of authority, as a symbol of the rule of law. But the same way, it has a negative effect on the relationship that exists between. There are so many people, they cannot even talk to their fathers because their fathers were made to be seen as. You know
what you just said has brought my mind to even Father's Day celebration.
Yeah.
You know, every time, I mean, I have a reason, a personal reason why I don't celebrate fathers on Father's Day.
Okay.
I don't want to talk about it. But anytime it's Father's Day, when I look at how fathers are being celebrated, I look at how mothers are being celebrated, it's sad. It's a sad sad spectacle.
They are two different.
Yeah, and the fathers always complain, and we do all and everything, and we come back home with money, and yet on Father's Day, look at how we're being portrayed, look at how we are being celebrated. And in as much as it's a sad spectacle, like I said, it also drums home how society really see fathers, of which you have said
is unfortunate.
Yeah. And I think they have also contributed, and their fathers have also contributed.
Because you see, fathers are not telling their stories. I told you earlier, it will take the woman to introduce you to your child, for the child to accept you. So if it is not done well, it affects their relationship, and it affects the way the person celebrates you. Every child knows that the mother is an angel. But how about the father? The story should be told.
Yeah.
The father gives the school fees to the mother to go and pay. The mother pays and may not tell the child your father.
It's from your father, right?
So, it creates that impression, and it has gone on for a long time. That is why we see it like this today. But you can see that now we are telling our stories. We are showing the world. I see fathers, posting videos with their kids and all these things. It will encourage other people to, so that the kids growing up, knowing the bonding that they have with their father, will celebrate you because you played a role. They saw it, they felt it.
But don't you think what you're talking about, I mean, I can understand fathers must tell their stories, but I think it runs deeper to choosing your partners.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you can tell your story all you want. If the other partner is not in sync with you, whatever story you tell, they will turn it around for their good. So I feel like it boils down to choosing your partner, making sure that at least you choose someone who's compassionate and somebody that you're in sync with. Somebody that even in your lowest moment as a father, you're not able to provide, and she's the one providing. She's able to tell the child that, oh, papa say, menfa. Do
you know something? Let me tell you this. The last time we were having this conversation, and I said that, the kind of marriages our parents enjoyed, we will not get it. Times have changed.
I disagree.
I'm telling you this. It's practical. You see, you're talking about somebody who is compassionate, somebody who is this. It's not bad. But do you know that people change?
Okay.
The person might be compassionate today. But due to the environment the person finds him or herself, maybe work, maybe traveling, maybe some society the person has joined, may influence the person negatively or positively. Right. It will take somebody with a strong mentality to stay.
And strong convictions.
To stay afloat and balanced. So sometimes, we say this, that, oh, you saw the red flags, you didn't pay attention to it. Sometimes there are no red flags, but people change. That one too is there. But
some people also make people change. Let's also look at that.
Okay, that one too is there. But I think that why I'm saying fathers should tell their story, not just by saying it, by living it. We are always busy. Spend time. Go to your kid's school. Pick him from school.
Right.
Go for PTA meetings. Be actively involved in all these things. When the child grows, there are things that I didn't understand about my father that I grieved about.
Right.
Now I'm also a man, and I
understand
now.
Yeah.
Time will settle the
Same
scores.
here. Yeah.
But you need to play a role. It's very important. So that one is very important, so that you wouldn't be a stranger.
Yeah. Speaking of
in the equation.
Speaking of playing roles, there's this man who I follow on Snapchat, Brahman. I think he is Sarkodie's stylist or something. I don't know. He's into suits and stuff.
Okay.
So every Saturday, I'm not very, how do I don't use Snapchat as much as I do other social media platforms. But every Saturday, if for the whole week I don't even go on Snap, every Saturday I must go on Snap. Why? Because he has a small boy, I think a 1-year-old boy or 2-year-old boy, and every Saturday he goes for a walk with his boy. And there's something about how he treats fatherhood. It's so beautiful. So this small boy, he's teaching him about life from a very, a very tender age. Takes the boy through like a long walk, sometimes like 2 kilometers or maybe 5 kilometers, and he's walking. And they get to a hill part of maybe the road, and you expect that a father would take the boy. Yeah. No, he actually would hold the boy and ask him to climb the hill. Sometimes even in the rain, they are walking in the rain, and the boy will be crying and everything. He still won't. He would let the boy exactly
the child for.
And it's so beautiful to watch. And while you're going, they would see some of the squatters around, and you know how it is. They've seen a rich man and his son walking, and they'll come around, and he allows the boy mingle, with these squatters, and it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And after they get home, obviously the boy is tired after walking 5 kilometers and all. Oh man, the mother would use shea butter, massage this boy, give him a good warm shower, and he sleeps. And it's so beautiful.
So when such a scenario, it will be difficult for the man
or the boy to
left out.
Exactly.
To be left out in the narrative, because you see, he lived it.
Yeah.
So the child felt it. Our problem is our fathers. I don't know whether it is our society, because men are known to be tough, and all these things. So we hardly share our emotions to our kids.
Yeah.
Not even our wives. We hardly do that.
And I think oftentimes too, maybe parents also see kids as too little. Like, but I feel like kids are kids.
No, but why name be an
exactly?
If not you, who will?
Yeah.
You should do that. You should lay the foundation, lay the blocks.
The internet
you want the child to go and have an open mind before he comes to talk to you. So whoever will open the child's mind will give the child a blueprint of how to live.
Absolutely.
Then that becomes a problem. So I think that the problem is bigger, and we are too busybody.
Yeah.
Fathers, we are too busybody. Yeah. Every day we are carrying the world. Yes, okay, the family, everything lies on your shoulder. That is why God gave you that muscle. So that you can shoulder problems. But we are too busybody, we don't get time. So we think that okay, providing for the family financially is enough. That is all. So you need a ticket. You need a ticket. I make sure you have a place to lay your head. I make sure you go for a good school.
But is that not also unfair to say? Because that is also essential.
It is essential. But the raising of your kid, after financing all these things, if the child has no value, whatever you are investing in it today will crash tomorrow.
Right.
It will crash tomorrow. What are you spending on? You are spending on education, no morals. You are spending on material wealth, no sense of belonging, no sense of humanity. So you build a house for the kid. The kid will sell it because he doesn't see the value. You don't train your child to be self-independent, to save, to know how to manage things, to know how to mend when it is supposed to, and you are spending. What are you spending on? You are spending on nothing. Because at the end of the day, whatever you fight for, whatever you leave behind as a legacy will be destroyed by the kid, because you trained the kid not to be self-independent.
Or you lived a bad example for the child to watch.
The child has no foundation. So whatever you've built, you've taught for, to the child is of no value. Because you don't share the same, ideas. The child is living someone's life because you left the child to TV and teachers and maid and blah, blah, blah. So yes, the child is your baby. But beyond you giving birth to him or her, providing physically, spiritually, emotionally, psychologically, you are not part of the upbringing. So you don't share anything in common. Only your looks. He looks like me. He's tall, he's short, dark, blah, blah, blah. He's gone to this university, gone to that university. Apart from that, whatever you believe in, if you don't imbibe it in your child, when you live, the child, because he does not share the same idea with you, will waste it. It's basic. Garbage in, garbage out.
I agree.
So how are you training the child? That is why I'm saying that, yes, you provide, but we are too busybody. Bringing up the child is part of our responsibility. You are a leader. You should lead. You should chart the path for the child to know where to go. Then your partner would also support. But the leader is always busy.
Yeah.
The leader is always busy. So what is your sense of leadership? Just give him money. It's important, but that is not enough. You should make time, go through the pain.
Right.
No pain, no gain.
Okay. So, Kumin, let's now look at discipline.
Okay.
The issue of discipline. Do we have types of discipline? I mean, what's discipline, or what kind of discipline is ideal for bringing up a child?
You see, have you watched? There is this movie, a Koansen's movie. I've forgotten. Bosom Field.
No.
There's this movie. Have you? Koansen has this movie that talks about how the white man raises the child and how we also raise ours. I've forgotten the name. It'll come. Yeah. Okay. So, it differs from one person to the other. Me growing up, my mom, when we do something, she will not talk. But the nibi or the besho, that alone is more than beating you. And there are moments that, especially, okay, you need to come and pound for food, you didn't pound, blah, blah, blah. She will decide not to mind you. You come and meet food. But there will be that one day that that, okay, it has been consistent. I've been going for about 5 days. There is food. So maybe, that day you go chase more, knowing that there will be food and things. You will come, not in there. And come there, it will change your mentality. So sometimes you need to act. Sometimes, look, like my father, if he tells you to mop here and he comes and you don't do it, he will not mind you. He'll come and do it on his own. But don't come and ask money. He will not beat you. So we should be creative about the way things are. Gone are the days where you need to beat the child. Okay, the Bible says spare the rod and then spoil the child. The time that Bible was written, their cultural and economic era was different. People were sitting on donkeys. Now we are in a global world where you can see whatever goes on anywhere.
Even beyond that,
anywhere in the world.
Even beyond that, the kids of today and the kids would have tomorrow, thanks to the internet, they have been conditioned to believe that your mom caning you or your dad caning you is an abuse of human rights.
Yeah.
So you cannot bring up your child with a mentality that discipline means caning. Especially in today's world.
Yeah.
And even in my world,
that is why when you go to school, corporal punishment is
when I was a child, where caning was allowed, I dare to say that my mom caning me wasn't what made me a good child. I wasn't a perfect child. I'm not saying, but then I wasn't wayward. Okay. My morals were upstanding.
Yeah.
And I knew good from bad. And it wasn't because my mom caned me to drum down those morals in me.
Okay.
I remember, in all of my stubbornness, one of the things that kept coming to me every now and then, that I found myself in a compromising situation where, as a child, even at the time, I needed to make a decision on my own. One of the things that spoke to me was one time when my mom had a very hearty conversation with me. And when I mean hearty, I mean she was in tears, and she came bare. She opened herself up to me and told me how life is like for her, providing for me. And fortunately for her, it was a life that, I'm a first child. It was a life that, and my mom did well though. My mom, she really invested in me, So even though she shielded me from, some of the harsh realities and stuff, I still felt it because I went through it with her, because it was just me and her. So yeah, oftentimes when we call stubborn kakra, obeshimi and everything, but it wasn't a caning that stopped me from doing bad things. It was the hearty conversation one hearty conversation my mom had with me. One.
I think that our parents owe us apologies.
Yes.
What is the rationale behind beating the child?
Yeah.
The child is doing what he or she is doing because he or she doesn't understand what you are also saying. He sees the world from
Differently.
a different
Perspective,
viewpoint,
yeah.
and you also see it differently. You have seen what he's seeing now, but he is not seeing what you are seeing today.
That's
So
yeah.
you have an experience of what the child is doing, and you want to correct the child. The child also doesn't understand you because the child doesn't see what you are seeing.
Yeah.
So it is up to you to communicate to the child,
Yeah.
so that the child would understand what you mean.
Yeah.
And because of that, if there is understanding, the child can follow what you are saying. But you don't beat the child to scare the child not to do what you told him or her not to do. You are not correcting the child.
Yeah.
You are forcing the child
To rebel.
to either rebel or pretend as though
They
he or she
understand.
understands.
Right.
The child is a child. You are an adult. Your experience definitely will be different from his or her experience. Sorry for that. Okay, the movie I was talking about is Heritage Africa.
Okay.
Heritage Africa, come on, Sam. Yeah. So the white man has a way of training his or her kids.
Right.
The white man that brought the Bible. When you go there and you beat your child, you may be arrested. Yet we keep beating our kids like.
Because it is abuse.
And sometimes, you know the most irritating part, when there is a breakup and the kids happen to be with one
Parent.
of the parents, they use the anger they have for their partner and
They use the
vent it-
child to battle.
Yeah, no, not just battle, vent their spleen on the child.
Yeah.
So the least provocation, you look like your father and your ugly face like your mother. Meanwhile, the child is innocent.
But in the midst of frustration, there isn't
What has
any
the child
rational
done?
thoughts.
What has the child done? So take your frustration away. Why? Did the child tell you
Is
to
it not
give birth to
easier
him or
said
her?
than done?
So what has the child done?
No, the child hasn't done anything. But I'm just saying that in the amidst frustration, like you're depressed, you're frustrated.
So you
at that
vent
point
your
in time,
spleen.
you're not thinking right.
Okay, so because of that, you think the child is the best place for you to, offset your anger and your depression and whatever at that tender age. You are making the child even more depressed. That is so inhumane. You think you are depressed as old as you are, and you cannot handle it, but the child should handle it. And you go ahead insulting the child and beat the child because you are angry at the child's mother or blah blah blah.
So
What? Okay, did the child tell you to give birth to him or her?
So it is not right. I agree. But let's also look at a remedy. Okay, so after you have done that, after you have, you're frustrated, you're depressed and whatever, and you vented out the child, how do you remedy the situation? Let's say you've done it and now you've realized that, oh no, I shouldn't have done that to, my baby. How do you remedy the situation?
You see, knowing that what you're doing is hurting the child is the first step to go. There are some children that they are so timid. When they go to school, they are so timid because when they go home, they are constantly abused. Anything that they do, especially when you live at your steps, either stepmother, stepfather, and nobody is there for you, you become a victim. Everybody sees you as a problem, and it affects the child's psyche.
So hold your guns for me. Kindly share your comments with us. I'd really, really want to hear from you if you're listening. 0548-841-039, 0548-841-039. I'd really want to hear from you what your thoughts and perceptions are on the topic we're discussing. We're looking at parenting. Somebody has brought your story about how he seems conflicted with his wife to be on the issue of disciplining kids or raising kids. So basically that's the topic we're discussing. Could we go ahead?
You know that it will be very difficult for your child to do something that you've told him or her not to do if you are a friend.
Right.
Yes. But if you keep beating the child will do it when you are
Rebel.
not there.
Yeah, they rebel.
They may rebel in front of you, but they will do it when you are not there and pretend as though they've not
done it. That's
you
true.
are forcing the child to learn how to lie.
You're right.
You are building, you know, a future professional pretender from the childhood.
Yeah.
So open up to the child and explain. You said it, your mom did it. Me, I had the privilege to grow with my mom and my 2 siblings, and we are still knitted like this. You dare not come in between. That friendship is there because the old girl will open up to you. Okay, this is what I can do. And she'll pray.
You know, Kumi, you're very right.
And, you know.
You're very right.
As of now,
Yeah.
I recall those days.
Yeah.
I recall those days.
While you were talking, I was just thinking about some of the experiences. I always bring my little brother. I know,
Yeah.
you know, I always say that I thank God that I took that decision to live with my siblings.
Yeah.
Especially at this point in my life, because it's teaching me a lot. I used to cane my little brother. I say, "Oh, yeah, Bema." So I used to have the, you know, idea that, oh, Bema dear is stubborn. One team in a crowd, they run wild. So I remember, you know, gone are the days he wouldn't study. You know, I would come to work and I'd tell him, listen, don't put on the television, because I was furious. I'm like, you know, I'm paying all these fees and you're not studying. I was furious. I'm like, you know what, don't put on the television. And I would lie to him and say that, listen, I have set cameras. If I go to work and I check the camera and I realize you have put on the television, I'd be so mad. The first few days I'll come home every day and I'd realize that, oh, the TV is off and everything. I'd be so happy. Oh, it's working. Then one day I came home unannounced. I came home during a time he wasn't expecting. So he had studied me, and gotten to know that,
he knows your timing.
4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, that means you have a fee. So at 4-5 he would ask for someone, I mean one of my neighbors, and say, what time is it? Oh, it's 4 o'clock. Then he put off the television. So I'd come thinking, oh, he really listened to me, and I'd be happy. Then one day I came home around 1, and here was my brother. Had eaten, placed the dishes on my carpet, dirty like that, and was watching television. And I was mad, and I had the urge to cane him again. And I was like, you know what? Something happened. Okay, he had written a letter to a certain girl in his class, professing his love for the girl.
At
and
what
I was
age?
like, he's 13. And I was like, oh no, my brother is a growing man. So I decided to change the technique. So I stopped completely caning him of all sorts. And like you said, I decided to be his friend.
Yeah.
So when I saw the letter, someone would say, and then if it was another parent, you would want to cane the boy. No. I called him, I said, come. And then I spoke to him, I said, okay, the point you have gotten to is totally understandable for you to be feeling how you're feeling, especially towards a girl and all of that. But if you take this decision, this is what's going to happen. And it's not for me, it's for you. Like we had a very candid conversation, and I let it be. This morning, we were having a conversation again, and I brought the girl up. I'm like, oh, how's Amanda? I was like, oh, nah. Like, after you spoke to me, I just decided to let it go.
He's looking at the bigger picture. You see?
So it's very right what you're saying.
Because what he was thinking was different.
Yeah.
Because he's not seeing what you were saying.
Yeah.
So you need to narrate it, break it down to that level so that the child can understand and appreciate.
Yeah.
Then act upon it.
That's right.
But you don't bully the child.
And you have to be an example.
You don't bully the child because the child didn't understand you. It's all a matter of understanding.
That's right.
Why do you beat the child? Because the child didn't understand what you meant and did what you said he or she shouldn't do. The child did it because he doesn't understand
what's going on.
So it is up to you to break it down. Why do you beat the child for not understanding you? He's a child.
Yeah.
And that is why it is your responsibility as a parent to find ways and means to drum home your values.
That's right.
So that the child would understand. So if you're a parent and you beat a child for doing something you told the child not to do, which means you are a bad leader, you are a bad teacher. You've not been able to teach the child to understand. It's like a teacher who teaches a child The child writes an exam, the child fails. We blame the child, but not the teacher who taught the child. If the child understood what you taught, do you think he or she will go and write and fail?
But Kumi, we keep, and I like the way we're singling out the ills, the bad things that parents do. But I want us to also give some grace to the parents. Life, especially the single ones. Yeah. Life is tough.
Yeah, that one is that.
Life is very tough. Bringing up a child on your own, the work you're doing is not paying. If it's a man, cry the same. Sometimes for men, it hurts even your ego. So sometimes the frustration comes.
Yeah.
And you're unable to control yourself. You're like, you lose, a clear understanding of what's happening around you.
Yeah.
And that makes you navigate the situation wrongly. Yeah. And that's why I'm saying, beyond us picking out what our faults are, let's also look at a remedy. So beyond you got frustrated, you've caned your child. Like what I did, I said in the beginning, I was also a culprit where I was caning my brother. Something had to happen that made me realize, okay, I'm doing things wrongly, and then I remedy the situation. Let's look at various ways we can remedy the situation, even at every stage of parenting.
Yeah, there is this approach. They say you cane the child with the left hand, and you draw him closer with the right hand.
Right?
So if caning is the only option, you've tried various options, and you think that caning is the only option per your estimation and evaluation that can remedy the situation. After doing that, still let the child know
that you love
why you did that. You see, the why is very important.
Yeah.
If the why is missing, the child will go and do it again.
Right.
Because he or she wouldn't understand and will go and do it. You see, when you read the Bible, God gave an instruction. This tree don't eat. When you eat, you see A, B, C, D. But I think it didn't go down well with Adam and Eve. So when the devil gave false interpretation of what God told them, they believed in that one because they were lacking information.
Right.
And they followed.
Right.
So the why is very important. Without the why, you keep on beating the child till you kill the child.
Nothing will happen.
And nothing will happen. So after beating the child, yes, bring the child closer. Let them know that you love them. And you are doing that for their future, to protect them.
Right.
And explain further again the reason behind you beating them. So that they would understand. And mostly it wouldn't happen by night. But as you do that frequently, as you do that, gradually, continuously, you realize that as they are growing up to the understanding of issues will be growing, and things will begin to simmer in. They will begin to decipher, understand what you mean, and all these kind of things. So it will take time. Parenting is a full-time responsibility. If you don't have time, don't go closer.
Okay. So let's get back to the story. This young man, obviously, he's, like I said, he's conflicted. If he's listening, I hope that at least you've gotten to understand a bit of what disciplining your child should look like. But right now, like he said, he strongly believes in not sparing the rod. Also, maybe based on his upbringing. Yeah. Maybe he had an authoritarian of a father who would cane and all of that. And so he has also been conditioned to believe that if you don't cane a child, that child would go wayward. So, I mean, the girlfriend too says, you dare not touch my child. Because obviously she grew up in a different environment where caning wasn't a thing. It was more of talking and, being your child's friend. But these people think they are compatible and want to do life together. What is your advice to them?
Okay, so first of all, as I said earlier, it is clear that they are compatible, but there is no compatibility which is 100%. Definitely there will be differences. Looking at the various backgrounds and the various ideologies and all these things. So I think that if they want to go together, it's not about you, it's not about me. The me factor vanishes when we decide to go together. It's about we. So what will we do when we get there? They should judge all. They should find a better way around it. This shouldn't be a problem. They should find a better way around it. It's not about you. Me, when you leave me alone, I love being indoors the whole day. That is me. Because to me, I'm enough to be my own friend. So I can stay indoors the whole day. But when you meet somebody and the person also likes outing, your you factor doesn't matter. That person's she factor doesn't matter. Even though I would like to be with myself, there are days you need to compromise and go out with your partner.
Because that's what your partner wants.
So that there will be a balance. For all you know, you find a smooth rhythm that you can all, work on. So I think that they should discuss it. This shouldn't be a problem. You shouldn't pick a definite stand that this is what I want to do. It's not about you. If they want to get married, the moment you get married, it's not about you. It's not about her. It's not about you. Plural. As in a family. So you were brought up this way. I was brought up this way. I believe in this. You believe in that. Let's find a way
to go about things.
Okay. When it happens that way, let's use this approach. Let's use that approach and come to an understanding. This shouldn't be a problem. Just that the way the guy is, I'm
adamant and
the way, okay, I was brought up this way, and because of that,
I have to,
Then go and marry your sister.
Right.
Yeah.
Or marry yourself.
Because you understand yourself better.
Yeah.
Once you're going to marry another person, don't force the person
to believe in your doctrine.
To change.
Okay.
Don't force change on people. They will pretend that they've fallen in line, and you be disappointed later on.
Yeah.
It boils down to communication and understanding. Let it simmer in slowly. Give reasons. The why is important. When that is done and done well, this shouldn't be a problem. Because after all, the kids are not even yet in. And you are going to fight over something which is non-existent. What if you give birth? How would you go around it? All these things should be discussed. So please, they shouldn't jump the gun. They should slow down for Jesus.
Right.
In Jesus' name.
Amen. Kumi, you have been phenomenal. We have tons of messages here. Let me just read a few of them so that we could quickly wrap up. Okay, so Afar Sadat Saeed Samuel says, discipline comes in various forms depending on the circumstances. A particular form may yield approach than the other. I think they both need to understand discipline and be dynamic about it. Ken Shaka also says, but discipline doesn't mean touching them. There are many ways of doing that. Barbie Bigel Amankwa says you should sit and talk, find a neutral ground on how to discipline your kids. She was brought up differently. The great NKD says marry who understands your term. So it means that if the person doesn't understand your term, you'd never get married.
That one too is there. When you are lucky, you may meet somebody like that.
Yeah.
But
but that's a hypocritical stand. Because I'm not your sibling. We're not from the same family.
But you may, the word is may, meet somebody who may also have a similar viewpoint and all these things. So what if you don't?
So what if you're not lucky? Do you decide to stay single? Is what I'm asking.
The only permanent thing in the world is change.
Okay. All right. Charles Tete Walters says, our parents taught it literally and therefore disciplined us with physical instruments like cane, belt, banku steer, sometimes wire and the rest, making some of us become timid, aggressive and beastie, and also pass on the same treatment to others. I absolutely agree. Ben Sam says discipline doesn't mean beating a child, so this should not be a problem. King Amit says, I understand where you're coming from, but also believe you should have an open mind about issues of this nature. There are different ways of instilling discipline in children. It doesn't always have to do with the use of the rod, as you stated. I believe you both have a lot to learn on how to raise your future kids. You would learn on the job during the process, but before that, get advice and read wide. Marine Jackson says she would be the first. I'll start disciplining them. Okay. Quissy Darlington says disciplining a child is not about using a rod as stated in the Bible. Children get used to it when you always lay your hands on them. You should sit with your partner and come to an agreement on that. Thomas Akuko.
Is it a kuoku?
Akuoku, I think that's what it is. I stand to be corrected, but this is not the only way to discipline a child. Do not spare the rod. Anna, absolutely. Alabi Clement says, yes, the Bible. Use the Bible to convince her. I think that's what he's trying to say. Oheneba Kwame also says, your idea of discipline is skewed. It doesn't always need the rod. Idiama Frederick says, you can't convince her, bro. Either you quit or stay in a relationship. Never take a woman's word for granted. She meant every word she said. Your choice. Don Wani says, you're worrying yourself for nothing. Take a chill pill and watch how things will unfold. You would be surprised at the way she will instill discipline in your future kids when she experiences the pain that comes with labor. Dan Ray Mensa says, do you want advice on how to convince your future wife to accept that you can assault your future children in the name of discipline? Are you cool? Kwame Michael says, why worry? Just let her give birth. She would rather be using various methods to discipline them. Ubuntu Milady says, just quote the Bible quotation that says, spare the rod and spoil the child to her. If she's Christian and believes in the Bible, she'll understand you. Well, I'm telling you, Ubuntu Miladies, it was very, very wrong. I mean, I had a stepfather till date. I don't want to see my stepfather.
Why?
Because every day when I do something and my mom complains to him, he came to me.
So why wouldn't your mom
brutally?
Why wouldn't your mom, punish you?
My mom used to punish me.
You see, it comes back to what I was saying. That we've made men look like.
No, my mommy did not make the man look like that.
But he was like that.
He's a full-grown man. Mm-hmm. He had kids of his own. Mm-hmm. A woman you're with, tells you that, my child, I am stubborn. If you're a good person, you would talk to the child. You won't cane the child. Is what I'm saying.
That is why I'm telling you that it's a generational something. That is how they were trained.
Yeah. So.
And they also, but we are blessed to be in this situation now, where now the world has become more open.
Yeah.
And we beginning to embrace.
Honestly, I think we need to drum it down people's ears.
And but what I fear is spare the rod.
Yeah.
And spoil the child. Mm-hmm. Somebody was talking about allowing the father to abuse the kids. If we don't take care, it will tend to spare the rod and spare your wife and spoil your wife. Mm-hmm. So you begin to, transition it onto your wife. People who believe in violence as a way of straightening issues, they don't care to extend it to their wives if they go wrong, because they believe that if I slap you, you go think right, and all these kind of things. But the most important thing is look at the person's psyche. There are so many. Look, when you speak to mental health authority, they will tell you, because I want to punish you so that you do the right thing. You end up hurting the child.
That's right.
So we should find out. That is why some people, especially in our part of the world, that is why some people are timid. I remember I had an interview with this artist. When was that? Was it last month? And he said that it took some friends to lighten up his spirit, so that he could even get into what he's doing and all these things, because he's been beaten from childhood, verbal assault, physical assault.
Make the child timid.
So he became so timid, so timid. That is psychological torture.
Yeah, and you don't need a timid adult.
No. You are training the child to become a better person. Then you end up destroying the very thing you claim to train, or the very thing you claim to build.
Yeah.
It's all about understanding. I think that, you see, every parent needs to have somebody who has studied child psychology. Yeah. So that if when the need be, that person can come in, understand, because you need to understand what you are dealing with. The child's psyche is different from you as an adult. So you need to understand their psyche so that you know how to raise them, where you should touch, where you shouldn't touch, and all these kind of things. Lack of understanding is what makes some of our parents do what they are doing out of frustration because they are lost in the equation. They don't understand exactly what they are dealing with.
And they are probably also victims.
My father, yes, victims. So it becomes a trait in them. It has become a standard. They feel that okay, that is the standard. So my father did that to me, and my father is my role model. So I will do that to you because that is how we were trained, you know, and all these things. So it's something that we need to look at. They should sit down and trash it out.
Thank you so much, Kumi. It's always an insightful session with you when we sit. And I really enjoy our time on radio. Honestly, I do.
Let me do what you ladies do.
Thank you for coming through.
Yeah, thank you.
And having this conversation with us.